Good morning, Estabrook family. This is Mrs. Schwartz coming to you live from my basement. This time I'm going to be teaching you about one-point perspective. For some of you, you have learned this already. For those of you that have not done one-point perspective, this is going to be something new. There are many ways of doing one-point perspective, but the first thing you need for this assignment, you're going to need a sheet of paper, you're going to need a pencil, and you're going to need a ruler. You're going to need an eraser. Some of the lines you're going to put on your paper, you're not going to erase, but many of them you are going to. So when you draw, you're going to want to draw lightly. The ruler that you're going to use, if you don't have a ruler, and it doesn't matter what measurements you have on it to start with, you do want to have some sort of a straight edge. If you have a 3x5 card, if you have a book that you can use to make straight lines with, anything will do. It just needs to be about the same length as your paper. So we're going to start by putting a vanishing point in the middle of your paper. And I'm going to put mine about right there. And I am going to draw a line going across my paper. I'm going to draw one right where the vanishing point is. I'm going to make sure my ruler is resting on the line where the vanishing point is and draw a line going straight through. And again, you can draw these lines lightly because you want to be able to erase them at some point. So the harder I press, the harder that is going to be to erase. Now to start with, I want to draw a couple of buildings, and I'm going to need to make a couple of rectangles to do that. So I'm going to start by putting a building off to the left or the right side of my paper. And by using the edge of my ruler and going across the top of my ruler, I can begin to make that rectangle. For this one, I'm going to draw around the other side of my ruler and just keep it that width. I'm going to come down around the bottom and draw a line going straight across the bottom, and then I'm going to connect these together. Now, because I don't want this box to be something that's see-through, I'm going to erase this line going through the middle. This line going across my paper is called the horizon line. And I'm just going to mark these down. So the horizon line is the line that's going across, and the vanishing point is the dot. Okay? You don't need to write those down, but that's what those are. So, just so you can see what that is, the vanishing point and the horizon line. I'm going to take my corner of my building, and very lightly I'm going to draw a line going from the vanishing point to the corner of my building. And I'm going to erase some of this. But for right now, I'm going to put the whole thing in. I'm going to do the same thing with the top part of my building. I'm going to draw a line going from the corner to the vanishing point, and I'm going to stop. Now, because this building is not going all the way into space, we want it to stop. I'm going to take my ruler in the same direction that this line goes here. I'm going to move my ruler out this way. Maybe I want to stop the building about here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to erase this line. I'm going to erase this line and this line. So with my eraser, take that one away, take this one away, and take this one away. And I have my first building. To draw another one, I'm going to decide to put one in the background here. I want to put one here because every city should have many buildings, and it should have them that go back into space. So I'm going to have one that sits about here and it should connect again to the vanishing point. I'm going to connect this back corner to the dot, and I'm going to connect this back corner to the dot. Now I need to decide how far back this building should go. I'm going to stop it about here. And then I need to go back and erase this line and this line. Boom. I have 2 buildings. Okay. Now, for the buildings, the windows that are on this side, they're going to follow the same direction as this line and this line. Normal windows. Okay. For the windows on the other side, this is a little trickier. Windows on this side, I am going to make a line. I want it to come and line up here. How do I know where it lines up? I'm going to draw this line as if it comes straight over. It's going to connect here, and it's going to go back into space. As if this comes all the way over, and it's going to come back into space. As if it comes all the way over, lines up with the vanishing point, and it goes back into space. So I know I want a window here. I want one here. I don't know where the bottom part is until I draw this line coming across. Then I'm going to line this up here with the vanishing point and draw my line. Now I know where the bottom of that window is going to be. I want a window here. I want a window here. But I want to go back and erase these other lines. I want to go back and erase these lines in between. So you can make your buildings as detailed as you want. This is how most people do it when they're drawing perspective, is they start out simply and then they add to it. Look at your comic books, if you have comic books, and see the perspective in each of those drawings. A lot of time it's what they call forced perspective, and they're trying to make things change very, very rapidly. But this is how they're doing it. They're creating a vanishing point, and they're deciding what angle things are going to be at. So I want to create some more windows. I want to create some windows that go like this. I want a window that goes here, and here, and here. I'll have a window that's here, and here. I'll have a window that goes about here. And here. So windows take a long time to do. Think about that when you're designing your buildings. You don't have to put windows on every wall. You don't have to put windows on every building. Most buildings do have lots of windows, but maybe yours is a factory and it doesn't have something like that. Maybe it has a mural on one side. Maybe it has doors. What if there's a big door down here? How do we decide the top of that door? We use the vanishing point. We're drawing it on the angle, and that angle decides how narrow it is at the back and how wide it is at the front. For this side, we know that the top is going to line up here, and we're going to put 2 windows on this side, just because. Okay. And the bottom, I'm making it up because we don't have a bottom to this side. So these two, as long as they line up together, then that works out okay. So I want to go back and I want to erase the lines I don't need. And then I can start creating my next building. Maybe this one has 2 doors. Okay, so I have 2 buildings. For a building on this side, I want to start with a rectangle. This is starting to look like the downtown city area. So I want to create a rectangle. Maybe this one's a little bit wider. I want to make a flat edge here. And again, erase what's in the middle of the building. And then connect it to the vanishing point, going back into space. Make sure again that when you're doing this, that your lines are not too dark. You can always go back and make your lines darker. So now I need to decide, where is this building going to stop in space? Do I want to stop it here? Do I want it to go back further? Is this going to be a mall that has many stores attached? Maybe it has a store there and a store here. And then I'll erase this one here. I want to erase this line in the middle. So if this is a downtown storefront, it might have office buildings on the bottom, but it might have something else on the top. Maybe it has a window here. Now here's the tricky part. Let's say I want to have an awning here. I want to have a triangle awning that comes out like this. Okay, so I have a triangle here. I want to line this up so it goes back into space. Back like this. And I want it to connect on the same angle. I want it to come back and connect there. I want to erase anything that gets in the way, so I cannot see through that. So part of this building is hidden behind that awning. I want to have a sidewalk. Maybe I have a sidewalk that comes here. How big is your sidewalk? Now, for the sidewalk, I want to have lines that go across my sidewalk. And I'm going to do one on this side too. Okay. Oops, that one's a little off. Okay, so for my sidewalk, I know that my lines are going to go horizontally, and I'm going to move these up. I need to decide how far apart my squares are going to be. The further back into space they go, the closer those lines should be together. the further apart they are, the closer they are to me. All right, so think of it as train tracks. The closer you are to the train tracks, the closer they are in space to you, the further apart they are. The further away in the distance, they look like they're about to converge together or merge together. Teeny tiny. Okay, so this way, they're getting further apart yet again. So if you were going to put trees in your picture, trees work the same way as the lines on the road. They get further and further apart and larger as they get closer to you. All right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings. Let's put some more. Let's put a building back here. I'm going to put one that comes back behind here. And I want to put one that comes in over here. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to rethink that one. I want to move it forward to about here. Cut it off at about there. So no, I don't have this whole thing planned out before I do these designs. I'm making it up as I go along, just as you're going to make it up as you go along. Does yours have to look like mine? No. It's just a starting point. Make as many buildings as you want, make as few as you want, but try out some different things for perspective. Okay, I'm going to make my building go to here, and then I'm going to stop. So that's about where I was beginning it in the first place. I'm going to erase this line so I can't see through the building, but I want to put a storefront on this one as well. So I'm going to decide where I want that building to come out into space. Maybe I want the storefront to be about here. And I want to think of the stores that I've seen in downtown Ypsilanti. What do those look like? What does Puffer Reds look like? What does the Unicorn store look like? What do any of those cool stores that I like so much have in the front? So 1 or 2 of them have a space where you can step into an alcove, and instead of having an awning that sticks out, you can walk back into space. So it's open there. Is it that tall on the top? I don't know. You tell me. Maybe it's not that tall. Maybe there's a decoration up there. Maybe this is a picture window with something on it. Maybe there are mannequins in the store window. Maybe there's Mr. Bendy or Pikachu in the window. Make it as creative as you want it to be. If you can make it any kind of city space you want it to be, what would you put there? What kind of clouds could you put in the sky? Or would you have it be the night before or the day before a football game and there's a blimp floating by? They usually have a banner of some kind that they're pulling. Street signs again. Use your perspective. Put your ruler on the vanishing point and draw your line for your sign so you know which direction it's going in space. Alright, you want another building in here? Again, put your rectangle down and then draw it using the vanishing point. Let's say I want a car to go right here on the road. I'm going to start off with a shape. I'm going to start off with a rectangle. Why a rectangle? Well, because most vehicles start off with that shape. Got to start off with a box and know where it goes in space. I know it's going to overlap my sidewalk a bit, because as much as we want cars to fit in the space on the road, they're three-dimensional and they're going to take up some space. I'm going to draw this rectangle as it goes back into space, and I know my car is going to fit in here. Just for the sake of it, I'm going to draw this back one here so I know my car is no longer than this rectangle, and it's about that one tall. So this one, we're going to say it's about about this tall. Okay, so I want to put a wheel on this side. I need another smaller oval back here. The one in front is larger. The one in back is smaller. For the one on this side, I'm not going to see it because the car is in the way. The one back here, I'm not going to see it at all because the car is in the way. So I can erase that. I can't see through this vehicle, so this back end of the car is going to disappear. I know the top of the car is going to be somewhere over here. I have to decide what shape is this car going to be. Maybe the car has a top that is going to come back into space like this. Maybe it's going to come down like this. Who knows? Maybe it has a windshield but no top on it. what do the headlights look like? Your headlights, one should be right across from the other. I don't want to see through that windshield except for the driver's seat, so I want to erase the sidewalk. I want the top of my car to be curved. Sorry guys, cars are not my strongest point here, but this is how you do it in perspective. There are great videos on how to do cars on the website, on YouTube and on other websites. There are great videos on YouTube of how to do things in perspective. The more practice you get at it, the better you get. And practice drawing anything you like. Just like writing your name repeatedly, the more practice you get at it, the better your handwriting gets. Alright, so this is the basic idea for perspective. You got a car that you can do in perspective. You have buildings you can do in perspective. You can do clouds in perspective. Trees can be done in perspective. People can be done in perspective. If I have a person that's walking the street right here, and my person is going to be this tall. Hello, person. And I'm just going to draw them a simple shape for now. There you are. A simple shape. Okay? Erase the rest of you. So, I know that this person is this tall. I know that by the time they get back into space, when they get back to here, they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as they go back into space. Maybe I should make that person smaller because they're too tall for that doorway there. Let's make them about there. Okay. That probably works out a little better. So here, I have their head is going to stay in line with these other lines. The next person is going to have a head that's about this size. The next person is going to have a body that is about this size. And each person that comes thereafter is going to be smaller and smaller as they go back into space. The next person is going to be bigger and bigger as they come into the picture because they are closer to you. Okay, see how that works? So try out a couple pictures of 1-point perspective. The next video I'm going to show you how to do is 2-point perspective. And it works very much the same way, except instead of having one dot in the middle of your paper, you're going to have two, one on either side. And you're going to have your ruler going to those 2 points instead of one in the center. If you have mastered this one, then the next one is right up your alley. If this one's a little complex for you, try it again. Try it a couple of times. It'll get easier the more times you've experienced it. Just keep on trying. Keep on trekking at it. Thank you for following along with me today. Thanks for trying this out, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.